26-mile downswell course from D.T. Fleming's Beach, Maui to Kanoe, Molokai, the Pailolo Challenge is a fast-paced, open ocean surf run. The race is actually one that originated decades ago, but had not been an offered venue for over 10 years, until Coffees of Hawaii and Hawaiian Canoe Club brought it back in 2007. Last year's race saw perfect conditions with 15 to 20 knot trade winds and 3 to 5 foot swells. This year, however, calm early morning conditions had paddlers a little worried that the wind wouldn't create the swells that they were hoping for. But the Pailolo Channel is one of the windiest waterways in Hawaii, and there's rarely a day when the trades aren't kicking by 9 a.m. And you can bet that this year's 25 men's and women's teams weren't going to be let down.
A little more Outer Island participation this year. I think we've got a Huinala Masters crew, we've got Team Bradley back to defend their title from last year, and also the Hawaiian men from last year who won this race. We've got the Livestrong guys back this year, this time in racing officially. Last year they used a Tahitian style canoe and were kind of unofficial, but this year they've got a Masters crew coming back to race. So it's going to be some pretty exciting racing out there. I think there's one men's crew pa'a that are doing it iron this year as well. So lots of divisions, and as the race keeps building, we'll keep adding to it, and we'll just take it year by year.
The Pailolo Challenge takes place just weeks before the men's and women's championship Molokai Hoi Kaiwi Channel crossing. In many ways, the Pailolo Challenge is the perfect primer for this most sought after of all canoe races, and offers a last chance for local teams to dial in.
Now Wahine Okikai around the corner. We just really want to go out and paddle together and kind of use it as a practice, make no mistakes, and just try to clean up all the little stuff.
I'm pretty pumped up about it. I'm really excited. It's actually my first time doing this race, but I've got a great crew, so I'm feeling really confident.
Teams have been prepping at D.T. Fleming's Beach in West Maui since 6 a.m. It really takes tremendous team effort and coordination to transport canoes and paddlers from around Hawaii for an event like this. But teamwork and unity, or lokahi, has long been the essence of canoe paddling in the Hawaiian culture. The Hawaiian value system holds ohana, or families, at its core. Every canoe, every team represents a close-knit family, and every good team works together like a family in perfect unison, focused on a common goal. This is one of the many reasons that canoe paddling remains so popular today. It isn't only about competition and winning. It's the spirit of the sport, the friendships, the physical challenge, and the peace that comes from being on the water.
The one with the yellow cat will be the inside number 2 boat. He's the inside starting line. This other one to our right with the yellow flag, he's the buoy over the side. He's the outside starting line. So they'll have buoys over this side. That is your starting line in between those boats.
The women's race is scheduled for a 9 a.m. start, with the men's scheduled to follow 15 minutes later. There's also a mixed crew, an Ironman's crew, and several new teams paddling this year.
As a group, this is our first major race to come together and do, so we got a lot of things within ourselves we got to work on, but outside competition's always nice, friendly competition. This yellow boat here, this new Livestrong boat, the Kukio guys are going to be fast, and the 6-man iron crew that I mentioned today is going to be fast. So hopefully, everybody keeps it together, and whoever's there at the end with the fittest crew will do the best.
The women's race starts on time at 9 a.m. sharp. 9 women's teams and 1 mixed team battle it out from the starting line.
fortunate enough to get to take off with the women, so we were got to be next to Team Bradley for about a minute and a half, and then they left and we got to paddle the rest of the way, and so we were real happy with that.
Just like last year, Team Bradley, a multiple-time world champion crew, is off to a huge lead with Hawaiian Canoe Club maintaining second place. About a mile from shore, the women hit the wind line and get into the famous bumps of the Pailolo Channel. From here, it's basically a surfing contest all the way to Kai. Back at DT Fleming's beach, the men's crews begin to line up for a 9:15 a.m. start. There's some confusion at the starting line, and the teams, not waiting for the official flag, are off to an early start. Race officials will often call canoes back to the line in a situation like this, but because it's a pretty even start, no effort is made to call the crews back. At first the pack is tight, but just like last year, a small group of canoes come out hard and fast, establishing themselves early on. What they really want to do is get to the swells of the Pailolo Channel first. The quicker they get surfing, the better. Leading the pack into the channel is last year's champions, Hawaiian Canoe Club, followed closely by Team Livestrong and Ironman crew Team Pa'a.
So it's kind of a throw together crew a little bit. Some guys from Maui, some guys from Oahu. So really the plan was to just kind of fill it out and do the best we can. Everybody in the boat's really a solid paddler. And so we just tried to blend together to start with and get a rhythm. And we were kind of in the mix for a long time. So we were just having fun racing, making the most of the bumps, working together and having a lot of fun.
Any fears of not having wind or surf for today's race are quickly put to rest as 10 to 15 knot winds and 3 to 4 foot seas start delivering nice, long rides.
We like to come to this race because surfing-wise, it's the best surfing race I think of any race. The channel is, has swells that are right behind you, so you can catch really long runs.
About 30 minutes into the race, and the teams have begun to spread out in the channel, each strategically plotting a course that they think will bring them into Kai the quickest. In the women's race, Team Bradley, juicing every swell, has opened up a half-mile lead.
I mean, it makes us feel good, but there's always, we always try to push ourselves. If there's somebody close or if there's somebody far, even if we have a big lead, we're trying to push ourselves and get the most out of it. I don't think we ever really relax. I think no matter what the conditions are, who you're paddling against, you just have to go as hard as you can.
Toward the middle of the women's pack, a few close races are unfolding, each team taking a different course. Some teams are getting the most out of the mid-channel swells and running with them on a southerly line, while others make for East Molokai, hoping to get a fast run along Molokai's south shore and a quicker arrival at Kai. Depending on the tide and other ocean conditions, either strategy could prove to be more effective. In the women's second place is a tough Hawaiian Canoe Club crew from Maui. While these women stay focused on holding a steady line for Kanakakai, an all-out battle begins in the men's race. Team Livestrong from Kona, who finished unofficially in second place last year, has caught up and passed Hawaiian Canoe Club, but Hawaiian is not about to give up its lead.
Hawaiian Canoe Club jumped in front of us at the start, and I think at one point might have had up to a half mile ahead of us, and we just stayed on their line and tried to follow them, and caught up to them a couple times, and then they pulled away, and then we caught up again and they pulled away, but we just kept pushing, and finally about an hour and a half into the race we pulled even with them, and then we were going back and forth for a while.
Well, we got out. We had a really good start. We got out there, and we know the course a little better, so we kind of wanted to peel away and not let them just follow us in, because with this course, it's easy to either go too far south towards Lanai or too far north, and you get stuck inside. So I think we're all grateful to be able to have a little battle like that together.
Far behind the ensuing battle, the Ironman Team Pa'a quietly maintains its pace.
The best you can hope for as a canoe paddler is to be up in the mix, give yourself a chance, and just kind of go with the flow. And so after halfway, we were still right there, and that really pumped us up.
Holding a course closer to shore is Molokai's own Kukuyo Molokai, looking to upset Team Pa'a's third place position with their knowledge of the local currents.
We do this run a lot, and a lot of times we try to stay within a half a mile out of the Kamalo buoy. So that was our strategy, to get to the buoy, try to kind of work on that route. But then we looked on the outside run, and Livestrong and Hawaiian was kind of about a mile on the outside. Looked like we were gaining on them. So we kind of held our inside run. And we did really well. We caught a lot of waves. Just that they were a little stronger, and they happened to pull it off around on the outside.
This channel crossing was a beautiful crossing. Surf was manageable, wasn't out of control. Like I said, it's just a beautiful feeling.
Closer to the middle of the pack, a handful of other men's teams work hard to make up the space between themselves and the front runners. The rest of the canoes are totally spread out by this point. When you're nearly 12 miles into an open ocean race, the difference in caliber really begins to show. But not everyone is in this race to win. Most teams are ecstatic just to be on the water, surrounded by some of the most spectacular scenery our islands have to offer. Now out of the Pailolo Channel and riding east on the swells of the Kalohi Channel, the powerful Team Bradley women's crew looks relaxed and strong as they hold their course and their immense lead. Back in the men's battle for first place, Hawaiian Canoe Club and Team Livestrong are still going at it. They've been exchanging the lead for over 45 minutes.
But we wanted to get off on our own and kind of work our strategy, and I think we got a little bit rattled having those guys right there and surfing as well as they were.
Surfing is the name of the game, and Team Livestrong, not letting a single swell pass, eventually pulls away.
Once we got past them, we kind of broke it loose there, and then it was a clean run to the finish.
By the final stretch, Livestrong has a lead that Hawaiian Canoe Club cannot take away. As Livestrong rounds the buoy into Lanakila Harbor, they make a final sprint and lock in their victory, upsetting last year's winners by just minutes. Last year's champions, Hawaiian Canoe Club, finishes in a strong second place, and it's safe to say that a healthy rivalry has been born. Will Hawaiian be able to take back their title next year, or might Team Pa'a or Molokai pull an upset?
Well, the nice thing about this race is it's a waterman's race. It's ocean knowledge comes into play, the skill of surfing, the teamwork. There's a lot of elements other than just the paddling. And I think that's what draws all these really good paddlers here.
The Pailolo Challenge once again proved to be an action-packed, world-class race. Coffees of Hawaii and the Hawaiian Canoe Club put on a quality event, and this year's teams, whether in it for the competition or the fun, really gave it their all. Perhaps more top-rated teams will give the Pailolo Challenge a shot next year and try to put their names down in history as a champion of one of the best downswell inter-island OC6 races in the world. Until then, on behalf of Coffees of Hawaii, congratulations and mahalo to all of this year's teams, and especially to the Team Livestrong men's champions and the Team Bradley women's champions.
You know, just talking to people here today after the race, regardless of where they finished, like everyone's got a smile on the face. There are some good swells out there, good bumps, and a lot of surfing to be had.
I would definitely suggest this to all the clubs. They can at least fit it into their budget or their schedule because it is an awesome downwind run there. It's unbelievable. Tomorrow we're going to paddle out from Lao Point to Hawaii Kai as a training run for the Molokai Hawaii.